Looking at the odds to win the East, the top four were relatively close pre-deadline moves, but they now all have identical 9-4 odds to win the conference. How about that?
I love it. And that brings this question to the table. Which team, Jalen, is the favorite in the East after the trade deadline?
So I've said this all season. If you want to look like 35,000 foot view, the intrigue is going to be who plays against the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals and who watches the Eastern Conference Finals. Now it's legit when all four of the top teams have the same odds. And Indiana's not pictured who's lost their best player, Victor Oladipo. But my favorite has to be the Philadelphia 76ers because Embiid can play inside and out. He can cause a double team. He can create mismatches. He's going to block shots. He's going to rebound. Ben Simmons, we know he's a triple-double threat. You add Tobias Harris, a catch-and-shoot player, a guy that not only can score as a creator, but also he can now take pressure off J.J. Redick, who was their only shooter. So now all of a sudden they have height. They have versatility when they go against Boston, when they go against the Greek Freak. They can do a lot of switching with Jonathan Simmons. I think the Philadelphia 76ers are the favorite right now in the East.
All right, I'm going to roll with the Raptors. And I just think that the depth of Toronto stands out to me. I think Siakam has been maybe the most improved player in the NBA this season. Getting Gasol is huge, but I think there's still more pieces to come for them. Their roster is not full, so they're going to be buyers in the buyout market. So what are they going to do now in the next week that's going to help solidify things? So I'm betting on the futures here with Toronto, not as right now. Like if you look at rosters, I agree with you. I think it's the 76ers, but what if they pick up one or two extra guys in the next 2 weeks that can make a difference and add even more depth to that bench, then I'm thinking Toronto's probably going to be the team again.
It feels like, Maria, that they made all these moves just for matchups, too.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, you add a Marc Gasol in for the Raptors, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what is going to be the best matchup? Who is going to guard Joel Embiid? I literally think that everyone was playing chess during the trade deadline. And I also think that we're not giving enough credit to the Bucks. I mean, who has the best record right now in the East?
Absolutely. And the great thing about having a legit go-to guy, a superstar, is now you can mask his weaknesses by building out the roster. So Giannis is a terrific driver and really versatile and is going to do a lot of dunks, but now you need shooters around him. You had Lopez, you brought him in this offseason, has been terrific playing center. Now you bring in Mirotic as well, gives them some flexibility up front with the lineup. For the Raptors, you bring in Marc Gasol, he's been Defensive Player of the Year, because you want him to guard Joel Embiid on the block because you know he can get you those level of buckets down low. Now, the wild card in all of this that we aren't talking about is the Boston Celtics. When we talk about who has a plethora of talent, not only starting but depth, the Celtics tend to come to mind. But they've lost their force as a defensive team. That's why I didn't make them my pick.
The interesting thing to me about all of these moves is what you were alluding to about the Western Conference Finals, who's going to be playing over there. Once we get to the second round of the Eastern Conference Finals, if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the East, you're missing out on some really good basketball. The Eastern Conference got stronger at the trade deadline than it was beforehand.
And how about this? It's the first time that we're not like, oh, it's wherever LeBron is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's time for whoever the next big East team is to make a statement and make it
When
to
the
the
Celtics
finals.
get Anthony Davis, too, it's going to be even better.
But if you think about both conferences, in theory, they've been stratified. Like they're really top heavy. Like the top 3 or 4 teams in both conferences have really solidified themselves. So basketball is really going to take off in the second round. But I got to tell you one thing you need to watch for in your Raptors.
Okay.
I need Kyle Lowry to play in the playoffs like he played in the regular season.
100%.
That's what I'm waiting to see.
And my thought process there is because of Siakam's continued improvement, because of Kawhi Leonard, and look, DeMar DeRozan's a good player, Kawhi's obviously a better player, that it takes a little bit of pressure off of him and allows him to free up.
Real quick, Jalen, I feel like we have to get a comment on you. Markelle Fultz going to the Magic, your initial reaction.
I'm so happy for him because he would have never, ever lived up to the potential of being the #1 pick in Philadelphia that they traded a #1 for Jason Tatum.
Oh, my goodness.
When they played in the playoffs last year, just think about this visual. You went #1 overall, and you're watching a guy in the Eastern Conference Finals that you got traded for, averaging 20-plus points, and you getting DNPs. That visual right there let me know that he needed a change of scenery. He has it in Orlando.
He needs to unplug his computer and do a complete reboot. Because
Yeah.
when you go to the free throw line and you're doing this with the ball and trying to shoot shots, I mean, people don't do that at the YMCA.
Okay, but I feel like he proved, he'll play defense, he can score off the
that's
bounce,
good.
everything
Good.
but the shot.
He has
Get the
effort.
shot,
That's
Shot will
good.
come back.
The shot will come.
It
I
will
feel
be
good
there.
about
A
it.
change of scenery
Magic is coming.
what he needed, and I like that you keep saying it.
And Orlando is off the radar.
Yeah.
It's kind of off the beaten path. So he could kind of ease himself into his NBA career versus the spotlight that may be in the large market.
And they didn't take a risk on this one at all.
No. This was a good, very smart decision.